Hey, what's going on, Warriors? It's Guru Joe, and I'm here at River City Warriors. And today I just thought I'd cover a little bit of how to deliver an elbow. And so a lot of times we hear of Muay Thai as the art of 8 limbs. And what they're talking about is your 2 hands, the 2 elbows, the 2 knees, that's 6 for those keeping track, and the leg kick, right? That's both sides, that's 8. And the benefit of the elbow and the knee is that they don't have to be flexed in order to be used. So they can be hard. Like if you've ever been standing around working in the kitchen and a family member sneaks up on you and you accidentally clip them, or you turn over in bed, you hit your partner or whatever, the elbow can be really disturbing. And it's a really good, useful tool for size discrepancy, for inside fighting. If somebody has a strong guard, the elbow can really work to break down the guard. The number one thing I need that I see that needs to be addressed, though, sort of the form and follow through, the general shape of the elbow. A lot of people don't know where to put the arm in relation to their guard, or they'll make it too stiff and they won't have good enough follow through. So there's a simple exercises from my Thai coach, Ajarn Chai Sirsut, who came over from Thailand in the 1960s, and I spent decades training with him and Guru Dan and Asano, some of the same training practices there. But when you're just starting out, the main thing we want to think about when we address the elbow is we want to hit with the sharp point of the elbow on the tip, not with the forearm. But in the beginning, when you're training on focus mitts or you're training on the heavy bag, you might actually deliver with the forearm to protect your elbow. On the mitts, you really want to try to clip it with that point. It's not going to make that much of a difference. But when you're hitting the heavy bag, there's a chance you can scrape your elbow in the beginning while you're trying to develop your targeting and your precision with the elbow, and you're going to end up with some serious road rash. Either that, or you get an elbow pad, and then sky's the limit. Just hit the bag as hard as you want and really emphasize that targeting. I'll show you those methods in just a second. But let's talk about the range of the elbow. So when you deliver the elbow, unlike a punch, you want to deliver it more with the deltoid than you do with the hip. The hip is going to be active, but the hip shouldn't rotate. Like when I throw a straight right cross down the center, my hip and shoulders really blade. And what happens if you do that on an elbow, you go too far. And now you're out of balance, especially if you miss the target, and your back is exposed. So if somebody wanted to clinch with you, you're going to have a lot of problems. We also don't want to come up short. But the stance we're going to use for the elbow is going to be more from a traditional kickboxing stance. So I want to have my feet just hip width, inside hip width distance, inside the seam of the shoulder apart, with the body tall. I want to be a little bit more square to start off of, and I'm going to use a tie cover where I round the shoulders and then relax the body, okay? When we throw the elbow, we're going to open the deltoid and we're going to let the arm cross the body. The other thing that dictates the position of the elbow is your thumb, just like an arm bar. When we're doing a jiu-jitsu arm bar, we'll say, hey, give me a thumbs up, because we know the elbow is on the bottom, and that's where we're going to break it. So if your thumb is horizontal, the elbow itself is going to be horizontal. If the thumb is diagonal, you're going to deliver a diagonal up elbow. If the thumb is down, you're going to deliver a diagonal down elbow. There's more elbows than this. There's a side elbow that's kind of a slapping elbow that you'll do in the clinch, or to soft targets like to somebody's ribs, right? So as I clinch, I might hit the neck and then grab like that. There's a hammer elbow, which comes over the top and down. There's a straight in elbow that goes this way. There's a back elbow, and there's even a spinning back elbow. But today, I think the first 3 basics that we need to cover are horizontal, diagonal down, and diagonal up, which are the most common set of elbows, and they'll lend itself to different combinations you can deploy with just those. Like you go 2 horizontal, 2 diagonal, 2 upward, and vice versa, and we'll go over it. So hand position, this is a little drill I came up with where we're just going to keep the hands interlaced. Okay? You never do this in combat. You never clinch this way, never ever interlock your fingers. But just to get the position of the elbow, it's not a bad idea. So I'm just going to start neutral in the middle, and I'm going to go side to side. So if I pull my left hand at the limit of my motion where I can stay looking forward, that's the range of my right elbow, the elbow in front. Okay, so I want this to go near my shoulder or under my armpit and no further. So I don't want to overreach, but if I make a clenched fist, I might be tempted to stomp in the center of the chest. So I'm just going to pull it across the body like that. Okay, and then I'm going to pivot and pull my right, and that's it. Okay, when we want to go diagonal down, it's really the rear arm that's going to fire. So I'm going to bring those hands up to the side of the head, and I'm going to go diagonal down with the left elbow, and then I'm going to come up. Now it's my right hand that's pointing down, so I'm going to go diagonal down with the right. Now, if we go back up, my thumb is pointing up on the left hand. That's a diagonal up elbow. I'm going to drop. That's a diagonal up right elbow. Drop. So I could go flat, horizontal left, horizontal right, diagonal down with the left, diagonal down with the right, diagonal up with the left, diagonal up with the right. Okay, once you get the position of, oh, that's where my hand should be, regardless of either one of those, then we can start to deploy a cover. So our cover system, there's two options that I've had success with and I've seen other people use. So a little more old school, but I like it because it creates a sturdy cover, is to take sort of the divot in the joint of the thumb and place that on the front of the forehead, on the crown of the head, so way above. So for like kids classes, I'll call it the rooster head because it looks like the rooster is up here, right? That little mane. Okay. Now, without my other hand being interlaced, I need to keep that shape. So I'm going to open the deltoid, let my hand be loose, and just go under the armpit. So that's my right elbow. Now I'm going to switch. See, I'm by that same system we did in the warm-up. I'm going to bring this up, left elbow. Going to cover, point my thumb down at the temple, down elbow. Going to cover, point my thumb down at the elbow, down elbow. Going to cover and let it drop. Now on diagonal up, two more options. One is to come under the armpit like this. See, the shoulder covers the jaw. And two, some people like to go over the arm. And then I'm going to drop the cover. I'm going to do more of looks like a traditional boxer's guard over the top row of teeth, like a traditional pillar cover. Okay, and then I'm going to switch, and I'm going to go on the other side. Okay, a more modern cover is to take your glove or your hand, and you're going to cover the crown of the head. Now, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Okay, not this. This looks similar, but I'm just pointing my hand at my temple. That's not good enough. It's got to be up high on the crown of the head, and you hold your own head. The reason you're doing it is because whenever I throw an elbow, I need coverage from my opponent's elbow. So if I just sort of cover my face and I throw an elbow like this, or I go horizontal and an elbow comes in, I am totally exposed to it, and it's going to be a devastating shot. So what we're doing is we're covering the opponent's elbow line. The other thing we're doing is, like if I go here for horizontal under the armpit, is I'm also in a position where if you try to clinch me, which is common in Muay Thai or even in just elbow range when somebody might be a grappler, they might not even know anything about kickboxing. Now if you try to grab me, I can take the inside position. So our guard affords us some protection from incoming close quarter attacks. Could be a headbutt, could be an elbow. Traditionally in Muay Thai, we're more worried about the elbow. In Cambodian kickboxing, they can headbutt, right? Definitely on the street. Clinch and headbutt right away is a good tactic. So we're protecting from those offensive motions coming in, and we're also giving us some cover if somebody wants to try to clinch us. Maybe we can take a better position or negate the clinch altogether. So I'm just going to go over those 6 elbows again, just transitioning through the cover. So horizontal, horizontal, diagonal down, diagonal up, under the armpit, diagonal up over the hand, diagonal up over the hand. So horizontal, horizontal, downward, downward, upward, upward. You can see everything is very loose, okay? Because again, the elbow is hard regardless of the position it's in. So you want like a loose sort of noodle effect, making everything lazy. My coach Ajahn Chai used to always say, it's kind of like you're swimming. And so if you picture yourself moving through water, in fact, you could just, sometimes we have people march down the lane doing footwork and just working that rapid fire looseness. So just those 6 elbows in itself, that's a good combination, right? Horizontal, horizontal, downward, downward, upward, upward. Or you could turn it into a 4 count. 2 horizontal, 2 downward. Or I could go 2 upward, 2 downward. Or I could go upward, downward, downward, upward. 2 horizontal, 2 upward, spinning back elbow, right? So, but everything's just functioning the same. Okay, and you can want to clip the bag, but as I said, if you don't have practice on that, see, I can hit it, but I'm not going to skin my elbow because I'm not I'm hitting with the point, but I'm not ripping it through the bag. There's a substantial impact, and then my arm comes back. And you can see I'm trying to deliver just the curvature of the point. Okay, let's talk about targeting. So if you're to aim at somebody, you're going to aim at the bottom of the chin. You can aim at the nose. You can aim at the temple. And we want to think about aiming at the ribs. Think about the clinch position again. Somebody goes to grab you. My hands are up at a normal guard position. I get grabbed. An elbow to the ribs. It can open up a lot more lines to keep that sort of volley going. Because when somebody grabs you, a lot of times that rib cage is exposed. So I might go diagonal elbow, horizontal, downward. See, up, horizontal, down. Up, horizontal, down. Just like that. Okay? So just play with the elbow, just like anything. Mix it in, and then you can start putting it on combinations. So a good way to get to elbow range is either throw a hook or a knee, but something that brings you closer to the target. So you don't want a foot jab and then go all the way in with the elbow too often, although it could be done, right? But if I go jab, cross, and I hook, I can use the hook to bring myself a little closer. If I go jab, cross, and I knee, I can use the knee to bring myself a little bit closer. So that way you can start mixing it into other combinations. But before you do that, you really want to work on targeting with the point, getting the proper placement and range of your elbow, and just having that total looseness with it. Because that's what's going to cause damage, and that's what's going to make for a very effective elbow. When you're tight and rigid, the body works against itself. It's very slow, right? Your muscles become antagonistic. That means your tricep works against your bicep and vice versa. So everything should be very relaxed. Same when you throw a knee, or if I were to do a headbutt. You want everything to just be easy. It's only when we strike with our fists, sometimes with our feet too, where we have to clench up at the moment of impact. But with the elbow, not so. It can be done light. The other thing that's going to do is it's going to really preserve your cardio and your conditioning. You're not going to be so winded. You're going to have more ammunition in the tank because everything's just so easy on the body, right? And then that's what becomes devastating. Plus, when you're relaxed, you got time to think about footwork, think about how you're going to enter. But just start out at the beginning. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Just work on those 6 lines. 2 horizontal, 2 diagonal down, 2 diagonal up. And then work on the 2 covers. Crown of the head, crown of the head, crown of the head, crown of the head, and then what I call the rooster. Okay? Everything's the same. That's it. And then there's other ways to throw the elbow. I've seen a couple diverging things where people say they put it in the gap here. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just not my preferred way to deliver the elbow. I prefer to either be outside the arm here, outside the arm here, or above the arm like that. Because from here, all the clinch and everything else is available too. All right, guys, that was some discussion on the elbow. Let me know what you think. Also, if you have any experience, let me know when's a good time where you like to deliver and install the elbow into combinations or sparring. Obviously, if we're going to spar with it, we're going to wear some elbow pads, or we're going to go very light. Even then, you got to be really careful just touching the elbow. You don't want to hurt your training partner. But hope you guys like this discussion on the elbow. If you haven't yet, ring the bell on the channel. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And we're here for the community. So if there's anything you want to see, please let us know in the comments below. All right. Catch you later, Warriors.